Take Me Through It is made possible by people like you. Thank you for downloading, listening, and subscribing. And leave us a comment on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you.
And joining us again is Jim Altman at Fox 61, Hartford, Connecticut. Jim and I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago on 3 stories he had produced, and the response was so good we decided to bring Jim back again to talk about 3 other stories that he has produced recently. And Jim, we begin with something called Stop the Bleed. It's mind-boggling. It's a program that was held recently at a high school in Manchester, Connecticut. Tell us about it, and then we'll listen to the story.
I mean, is it a sad commentary on society? Yes. But is it being entirely proactive about the dangers that we face in society? Yes. It's both of those things. Manchester Fire, one of the departments across the country, taking part in what's called bleedingcontrol.org. Stop the Bleed is a program that they have now, for the first time, brought into high schools, Manchester High being the first, in Connecticut, and teaching the kids, just like you teach somebody a defibrillator, right? You see those on the wall?
Right.
These are Stop the Bleed kits. They want to put them on the walls in high schools. So, God forbid, you have a Parkland or something we know about here, Newtown situation. Kids can get in, teachers can get in, and stop the bleed.
That's incredible. Let's listen to the story.
At Manchester High,
it could certainly be life savings.
Class is in session, but the pressure's on.
Another method of creating pressure right where the vessels are.
And that's critical.
If we can quickly stop bleeding from an arm or a leg, the tourniquet is worth its weight in gold.
With the images of the Newtown and Parkland shootings ever present, the students in the Medical Careers Academy are taking part in the Stop the Bleed campaign.
We're stopping bleeding to save somebody.
It's taught by Battalion Chief Josh Bollier and the Manchester Fire EMS.
What we are looking to do is, first off, empower the general public to take action and get involved and do something before emergency services arrive. And we do that by teaching them how to use tourniquets.
Come back over the clip. There you go.
How to use pressure dressings. Show me how you hold direct pressure on that. And how to do wound packing. Perfect. Nice job.
Having someone who is skilled and trained to respond on some level, even if it's just an initial response before paramedics arrive, is the difference between life and death.
With the help of a silicone prop and a pork shoulder, the students are using Stop the Bleed kits, which the chief hopes become commonplace in schools and community centers. As sad as the Parkland tragedy was, this isn't retroactive to that.
This is not reactive to the most recent tragedy. This is something that we've been working on putting together for a long time. Shove that right in there.
The students didn't seem to mind getting their hands dirty.
I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was cool to learn how to do something so in a situation where it is necessary, I would have knowledge and know what to do so that if something were to happen, I can know at least I tried.
And they say in a moment of crisis, it's crucial to stay minutes ahead before professional help arrives.
They're empowered to do something. These kids are more than capable of helping in an emergency, and we're just giving them the training and tools to do that.
Well, Jim, that was an incredible story, Jim. Unbelievable. That's what we have to do now, is teach kids how to stop the bleeding in the case of a serious accident or a mass shooting. That's just incredible.
The Manchester Fire has a very good response rate. You're talking about 3, 4, 5 minutes on average. But if you're in a situation like this, you have to stop the bleed. You can bleed out in 5 minutes if you're hit by the wrong fire. So this is where it's almost giving first responders a first response. You're giving them a leg up. And if you can do that, if you're trained to do that, it is like the vice principal said there, it's the matter between life and death. That's what it is.
And the kids, what was the feeling among the students as they were being taught this? Do you think they understood the gravity of what they were being taught and the fact that hopefully they'll never need to use these skills, but the possibility is there?
Right. These kids are from the Medical Careers Academy, so that makes sense, right? A lot of them want to be in this field. They want to be medical techs or EMTs or doctors, nurses. So they're on that track anyway. And most of them were, like I said in the story, they were okay with getting their hands dirty. Now, this is also, something that can be used for an accident, something that goes horribly awry. It doesn't have to be as obviously as macabre as the things that we see, but interestingly enough, I said this in the story too. This was planned. This wasn't retroactive. This wasn't reactive to because we just had this Parkland tragedy. This was planned. This was on their calendar already. An initiative that really started building steam after the tragedy in Newtown.
Wow, and what were the feelings that you had coming away from this? I mean, I know you're in the middle of shooting a story. Sometimes we may not realize actually what we're doing, but, driving back from the story or after the story is aired, any final thoughts on your feelings as to what it was like to produce this story with these kids and with the folks in Manchester?
Can you imagine when we were in school? I know you were in school way before me.
Long time ago.
But can you imagine even having this conversation when we were in school?
No.
It was unconscionable. And now you have this. But I will say this. Getting the word out about this and having Stop the Bleed kits, which are readily available. It's the same thing that the combat EMTs bring in our military. You can have this, and you can have people who are basically trained just like you would a lifeguard in a pool.
Right.
It's another layer of protection. And I think that you'll see more of these because of programs like this. We have more information about the program, by the way, on our website at fox61.com. It's also on my Fox 61 page.
And now we go to another high school in Connecticut. Another day, another event, but a completely different kind of story. Tell us about it, Jim.
BJ, question for you. What starts with F and ends with CK?
Fire truck.
There you go.
It's a family show.
You knew you were going to get that right. The PSA Civic Leadership High, a magnet school in Enfield. This place is decked out. These are the high schools that train kids to be our next generation of first responders. And guess what? They got their own fire truck.
Wow.
Real life fire truck. I'm talking all the bells and whistles.
This is not some kind of mock-up of a fire truck. It's an actual fire truck.
High school kids have a fire truck.
It's pretty good. Hey, you want to listen to the story?
Take a listen. Class is in session at PSA Civic Leadership High in Enfield.
It's really important to know what resources you have available.
And at this magnet school, it's not just about the whiteboard.
So come on in.
They've also got the red truck.
When I first started here in 6th grade, I never expected to have a fire truck in a classroom.
Water that comes in from the hydrants and stuff comes in right here, right?
There is cause for alarm in Joe Jarvis's fire science class, and that's part of the lesson plan. Just donated by the South Windsor Fire Department, Engine 7.
And there's no way we would be able to afford a new truck. Even though the building was built for it, it was kind of always a pipe dream until we got in touch with South Windsor and found out that they had a available vehicle that they were ready to offload.
The truck has all the bells, it has all the whistles, and it is absolutely road ready.
Grab it and loop it up. This piece of apparatus will allow the kids to get their hands on a charged hose line, figure out what a nozzle feels like.
For PSA senior Ben Coulard, it is much more tactile than a textbook.
Experience is the best teacher nowadays, especially for me. I'm a very hands-on learner, and for something like this, a very practical way to learn.
South Windsor Fire Chief Kevin Cooney says it's a donation he hopes sparks more interest for kids to join area departments.
The school gets to use a fire truck along with all their other equipment they have. We're still helping our youth and our young communities.
Town Council, in its wisdom, saw this as a way to give back to the general community in this area and to help train the next generation of firefighters.
Are they pumped up for their pumper? Absolutely.
Volunteer fire departments all across the country are hurting. It's a tough line of work. This is more than what we could ever ask for. It was just an amazing gift.
Another great story. How'd you find that story?
You know, we know one of the fire chiefs in the volunteer, and we got wind of it that way. It's not a secret when you have that big a piece of an apparatus.
It's kind of hard to hide a fire truck.
You can't hide that. The thing about it, is it's 20-something years old. I don't remember exactly how old the fire truck was, but they could have sold it. But this is a pay it forward. The town of South Windsor, nearby, decides this is going to work out better. We will get paid back down the road if we donate this. How will this manifest itself in a plus for the community? We'll get more kids engaged. Right. We'll get more kids involved. They'll want to join our department, and this is the right thing to do.
That's right. In a couple of years from now, there will be some student who will do something extraordinary in service to his or her community because of this.
One of the things, BJ, that we didn't really talk about in the story as much as I would have liked to, because, we only have so much time in local TV news, but across the country, volunteer fire department numbers are down. And guess what? We need these folks more than anybody. These are the most important parts of our community. So it's a tough line of work, right? And not a lot of pay in it.
Right. Dangerous, of course. Crazy hours.
Hours, I was just going to say. So this is something that hopefully brings numbers up. This high school is really impressive. They've got a whole bay for the truck. And if you look at the story on our website, you can see. So, but they have a whole bay for the truck. They actually never thought they were going to have a truck, a real life truck. And now you go to high school, and if you're in this program, you have a fire truck.
That's pretty good.
And you can drive the fire truck.
That's pretty good,
if you're
too.
over, I think you have to be 18. So some of the seniors can drive it. A number of kids are already in the volunteer service. But look, this is going to, you have freshmen and sophomores looking at the truck and saying, that's pretty cool. Maybe I should get involved in this. Maybe I should take a couple of these classes. At least take the intro class and see if I like it. You have hands-on. You want to figure out how to run a line? You can do that. You want to turn the siren on? That's, of course, what I wanted to do.
Of course. Well, you always wanted to be a fireman, didn't you?
You can do that. Everybody wanted to be a fireman when they were a kid. But when push comes to shove, not as many people want to do it anymore.
Right.
I don't think they're going to have that problem in Enfield and East Windsor and South Windsor and all these communities they believe are going to benefit from this donation. Town of Enfield the town of South Windsor got a new fire truck, by the way, replacing. Those will run you a
lot.
Many six figures.
Yeah, I can believe it.
A new fire truck today, many six figures.
Yeah, I can imagine with all the
maybe 7, but a lot of money. But great for these kids, great for the school, and definitely great for the community. One of those things, stories I love like this, learning opportunity, everybody wins.
And our final story for this episode with Jim Altman of Fox 61 has to do with the Hartford Whalers again. We talked to them in our first episode about this beloved team that left Connecticut 20 years ago, but for so many, their memory and their impact remains. And now in Connecticut,
you can have your very own Hartford Whalers license plates. It's about time, don't you think?
Oh, well, it's beyond time. It's taken 20 years, but it's not the easiest thing to do. You just don't wake up and say, hey, I want a Hartford Whalers license plate. You have to go through state channels, and that can't be easy.
Many years, even more signatures, hundreds, maybe thousands of signatures they had to get.
Right, and there are 2 guys who were sort of in the middle of this, correct?
You can get your own Hartford Whalers license plates? Absolutely. This is a thing. For Peter Hindle and Jerry Irwin, known as the Whaler Guys, what began as an idea now has some serious street cred. Their brass bonanza has gone aluminum. Today, 5 years of effort has come to fruition. They got the signatures, the legislative support.
It's 2 decades ago that we lost the Whalers, but in our hearts we have not.
And now Hartford Whalers license plates are here. One of the driving forces behind it, $45 of each plate will go to Connecticut Children's Future Infusion and Dialysis Center.
Yeah, thanks very much.
State leaders, the DMV commissioner, and the lieutenant governor made it official at the hospital today.
So this really is one of those things where some people may say, you're doing Hartford Whalers stuff, why would a state government be invested in this?
Well, it's great for Connecticut to have that spirit, but number two, it's great for Connecticut Children's Medical Center.
You told me this.
Right.
There's actually a Penn State alumni Connecticut license plate.
This is true.
But there was no Whaler plate.
There was no Whaler plate, and we figured it was probably a licensing agreement with the NHL would make it difficult, but we thought, hey, let's throw the dice and let's see if this thing flies.
If you've got a Penn State license plate, you probably need a Whalers license plate.
I would wholeheartedly agree, and I don't have to tell you, Jim, the Whalers are still not only hugely popular, they were really our professional team, so to speak, for many, many decades.
State Rep Kurt Vail submitted the bill, and now clearly the bandwagon will at least have new license plates.
Hopefully this is a sign of, just how much support the Whalers have in Hartford, and maybe someday we'll get a team back.
It's just a testament to the passion that these people have and the goodwill that the Whaler logo, the Whaler past history, has given Connecticut. It's all good.
It's hard to say no to crazy fans, I guess, but to have some civic pride and bring something back, and now people can share the logo on their cars, and we're hoping that stirs more interest and on to bigger and better things.
All right, so we got the license plates. What's next?
Are you getting one? Because you're a tried and true Connecticut guy. Sadly, I'm a Washington Capitals fan.
Ooh,
God, it's brutal. They're so good every year.
I know.
And they're terrible.
I know, but at least you can rely on them to fade in the playoffs.
That's true, and at least they're actually a team.
That's right. They're a good team. Hey, they're good.
They're a good team.
Yeah, they are.
But being a Whalers fan, are you getting one of these?
Can I get one of these in Vermont? Probably not.
No, you probably can't. Well, interestingly enough, like we said in the story, you couldn't get Hartford Whalers license plates in Connecticut. You could get a Penn State alumni license plate.
Right.
Give me a break.
I know.
Like, I don't have a problem. Red Sox, you can get a Red Sox one.
Sure.
That's good.
Yep.
But Penn State, God bless the Nittany Lions, but you couldn't get a Whalers and you could get Penn State.
It doesn't make any sense.
Made any sense. So Peter Hindle and Jerry Irwin, these guys you got to give them credit.
Yeah,
they're the Whaler guys.
That's right.
And they made this happen. It was officially Bill 5389. And this is probably, from soup to nuts, this is probably a 5-year process. From the idea to the time they saw the governor sign it and actually saw the plates being pressed. It's 5 years. So now, maybe this is what they think. And they take a lot of, they take a bit of harassment over this.
No, I understand.
Because they want the Whalers
Sure
back.
they do.
And a lot of people don't think that's going to, well, let's be honest. You need a whole new arena to do that.
That's true.
And where are you going to put it? You'd have to I think you have to demolish the XL Center, which that would be awesome. Where's the money going to come from?
That's right.
East Hartford, they have the space by Rentschler. I don't think the city of Hartford would ever let them go outside of the city limits of Hartford. That's the thing.
That would not be a good PR move for the city of Hartford. And again, it's such a wild card. And I think what really hurts is not. Soon after they left, they won the Stanley Cup. It's the Carolina Hurricanes, and that really hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts.
That hurts. Also, the Carolina Hurricanes don't do well in attendance. They're near the bottom of the league. Look, there's a lot of. Honestly, and I know you can't compare apples and oranges. I will anyway. The Yard Goats sold out 41 games last year. Right, I get it. They have 8,000 people in the stands. I understand that. But I think there's enough industry here. I think there's enough excitement here that they probably would do very well. Again, there's corporations understand that taking people out real big-time hockey is great for business. It's not just about the game, which is great. I love the game of hockey. But I think the Whalers would do really well here again. From my lips to God's ears. There's just so much that would have to happen. The biggest problem, BJ, is the XL Center.
The XL Center and the NHL. If they're looking to expand, they're talking about Seattle. They're sort of looking west. I think the Las Vegas
Golden
Knights, the Golden Knights, have just been an example of just astounding first of all, performance on the ice. They're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. The attendance has been very good. Who's going to go watch hockey in Las Vegas? Well, the answer is a lot of people. And I think probably part of the problem here in Connecticut is we get the Boston Bruins, you get the 3 New York City area teams, and I think maybe there's just saturation and maybe the television market itself wasn't big enough, because that's what drives revenue for professional sports teams. It's the television money, probably more so than the tickets. It's an uphill battle, but you're right. I mean, I'm really impressed by what Peter and Jerry have done, because getting the license plate through was a great accomplishment, and I also appreciate their drive to trying to figure out a way maybe to bring them back.
Look, it's one step, right? And it's got guys like us talking about it. And if anything, seeing the license plate continues the conversation. Now, the conversation might not end the way they want it to, but at least the conversation is happening yet again. You can have your Hartford Whalers license plates, if anything.
Wear the colors proudly as you drive across Connecticut. That's a great thing.
Dun, 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 dun.
Jim Altman, Fox 61, thanks for joining us again.
Let's do it again, BJ. Thank you. Go well.
And make sure you check out all of Jim's stories at fox61.com. That's fox61.com. And we're wrapping things up this week. Right now, we are heading west. We're actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now. We're going to hit places like Albuquerque, Phoenix, Santa Clarita, then on to Sausalito, California. So we are on the road this week. This month we'll be on the road doing our show from the West Coast over the next couple of months. Should be kind of fun out there, so I'm looking forward to doing that. Again, thanks for listening. I'm BJ Fennell. Take Me Through It is a production of Fennell Communications, LLC.